One of the challenges that London gave when they made their bid was that it would be a games for the whole of the UK and not just London. And actually that's quite a hard thing to achieve, but it's slightly easier to achieve in a country the size of the UK, when the West Midlands, Birmingham, is only an hour and a half away from London. For many people around the world, that's like just the outskirts of the town. So I think there are many ways in which we can benefit, and the Olympic and Paralympic experience will be coming to our region. Obviously, with Birmingham having the Jamaican and the American track and field team, that's really high profile. We've got the Olympic football taking place in Coventry. Over in Shropshire, we've got the kind of heritage of Much Wenlock, and that's the link of between Much Wenlock and the creation of the Olympic Games. We've got businesses doing really well in terms of contracts outside of London and the South East. Our region has benefited most in terms of business contracts in any other part of the UK. It's about £450 million worth. And then, with the art and the arts side, there's something like 350,000 people have taken part in the Cultural Olympiad, of which many of those have never been involved in the activity that they've tried out.
And what do you think about Usain Bolt, obviously the fastest man in the world? He's come into Birmingham.
Yeah,
do you think that's going to benefit the area?
He's a superstar, isn't he? A real superstar. I think it'll benefit he's pretty visible. You won't be able to mistake him wandering down Broad Street or whatever. And I think it's great for the Jamaican community and the Afro-Caribbean community, and the wider community in Birmingham and the West Midlands. He will be the profile athlete of the games. Just have to keep your fingers crossed he doesn't get injured, and that things go as well for him in London as they did in Beijing. But he's not just an athletic superstar, he's a world superstar. And the rest of the Jamaican team are phenomenally gifted. The team that they compete most competitively against, the USA, and obviously having them here, and sprinting is at the heart of the American track and field team. So I think that'll be, the build-up to it happening in Birmingham, I think is brilliant.
Do you think you might be able to keep up with the American team and how quick they are now, and Usain Bolt and that?
Well, I think the issue, they've got to keep up with Bolt, but they'll be trying their best. A guy called Tyson Gay, who's arguably the second best sprinter the world's ever seen, he just happens to be in the same era as Usain Bolt. And I think if Bolt's in the best condition, then he's unbeatable. But anything slightly less than the best, and Tyson Gay, who's quite a different personality, could take him. And that story will begin to unfold in Birmingham before they make it down to London, which is really good.
What about your involvement in the games? Obviously you were involved in the 2008 games in Beijing. How are you going to participate in the London 2012 event?
Well, I've actually been really lucky. I've been involved in every game since 1976, frighteningly. One way or another. I competed as an athlete in 3 games. I worked for the BBC for 3 games, and then I was chief executive of the governing body for 2000 and 2004. In Beijing, I worked for Canadian television, CBC, and part of the commentary team, and that was fantastic. But CBC, which is like the equivalent of the BBC, haven't got the contract for London. It's gone to CTV, which is like the equivalent of ITV. And so I'm not too sure what their plans are. But I'm more than happily work for the media at the games. But whatever I do, there's a huge amount to be done in the West Midlands before then. And I'm part of a team that's really trying to, as I said, bring the Olympic and Paralympic experience to our region. And there's a lot of people committed to that, and I think it will be, even if we'll go down to London, but even if I didn't go down to London, I'll feel the Olympics in our region. My home city, Coventry, has got the Olympic football, so no, it'll be terrific. But the lure of going down to London, at very least, I'm going to be down there, wandering around Hyde Park, wandering around Olympic Park, and just soaking up the atmosphere.
Great, yeah. And you were just saying now that there's going to be a real kind of team effort here, and there's a lot of volunteers been involved with the London 2012 games, or there will be. How important do you think they are to the games?
The volunteers make the games, actually, and I know that's why they're called games makers. And the best example I ever saw of that was in Australia at the Sydney Olympics in 2000. And the volunteers were breathtaking. I mean, they were sensational. They were amusing. They were informative. They were helpful, and they just got it right, because inevitably at games there's a lot of standing around. You're queuing up to wait to get through security and waiting to get the bus or the train. And then when you get there, there's lots of things that volunteers need to do to make the public's experience even better and the athletes' experience. So, and in Sydney, they had a wonderful thing that before they had the parade of athletes, had a parade of volunteers through Sydney. like a ticker tape parade of volunteers, and the local paper had an insert with the name of every volunteer and features on some of them, and little things like that work really well. There's 70,000 volunteers needed for London, and I think there's going to be about 10,000 of them recruited from the recruitment process in the West Midlands. So, no, that'd be great, it'd be fantastic.
Would you recommend people to get involved with it? Anyone that's thinking about getting involved?
Yeah, I mean, the application process for volunteers is actually closed, so they haven't started to recruit, but they will soon. Having said that, there's still plenty of volunteering opportunities in the West Midlands. Birmingham City Council, I think, would be looking for volunteers to help with the training camps, I assume. There'll be volunteering programmes to do with the torch relay when it comes through the West Midlands. So yes, there's lots of ways in which people can still be involved.
Just finally, you still hold the UK record for 3,000 metres. Are you worried that might go?
I'm quite happy if it goes. Mo Farah broke the record for the 5,000, which was the main one, because that's an Olympic distance, and it took 28 years to break it, but he's been knocking on the door for a while, and he's a fantastic athlete. And he's going to have it really hard in London because the African athletes are so strong, but he's really gifted and a nice guy, and so I'm very happy if he breaks the 3,000 record. And after 29 years, it's a long time. It's a long time. They should have gone ages ago.
What did it feel like though, just having that world record at the time?
Yeah, it was weird. It was a strange thing because for that moment you're the fastest ever over a distance in history. And it's a hard thing to come to terms with because I didn't expect it. And that evening, I'd spent some time on my own about 3 o'clock in the morning on a Scandinavian summer's evening. And it was beautiful, it was lovely and warm, only just beginning to go a little bit dark, and sat on a rock overlooking a lake and tried to come to terms with the fact that probably my life would change. But I'm really lucky that I managed to break a record once, and it'll be a treasured memory forever.